Well, hey, everybody, welcome to class. My name is Glenn Killian, and I am the instructor for the Family Intervention Strategies class. So, welcome aboard. I know that many of you have been with me before in some of my other online classes. Welcome back to those of you, if that's the case. But some of you are brand new, maybe to taking classes with me. And so, especially to you, I want to say welcome aboard and welcome to this really interesting, exciting class that I always love teaching almost every single semester. What I want to do in this video is just give you a little bit of orientation information as we get started, make sure we're all on the right track, and then I'm going to turn you loose for our class. But welcome aboard. This is Family Intervention Strategies. And like so many cases, I always tell students oftentimes that a lot of times, the classes that we teach in the Human Services program, they really are what they say they are, if that makes sense. So Family Intervention Strategies obviously is a class about families and really family counseling. I'll talk more about that here in a second, but this is kind of a family counseling class where we're going to look at a couple of different important family counseling approaches that we use in the social services field, along with several other things kind of along the way. So we often just refer to this as the family class or the family counseling class. And I want you to go and find the syllabus. If you've not already done that, again, some of you, especially if you're a first time taking an online class, if that's your situation, online classes in many, many ways are almost identical or similar to face-to-face classes that you might take on campus. And one of the ways is that the syllabus is our guide. So I've posted a copy of the syllabus for you at the front of the classroom. I want you to go find that. I want you to make sure you review it. As always, you want to look for some due dates and the assignments and the late policies, all of that kind of stuff, because that really is going to be our guide. And as you look at the syllabus, let me just kind of summarize some highlights for you. So number one, you're going to see that we have 6 learning modules that we're going to work through. Module number 1, called Family Foundations, is up and available for you right now. And you have 2 weeks to work through each of the 6 modules. The modules open on basically every other Monday morning, and you have until the end of the next week to work through and do several things in the modules. So you'll see, for example, with module number 1, Family Foundations, you'll see there is a lecture video where I share my PowerPoint slides and kind of walk through the lecture. You'll also see with every single module, there is a Word document that I call my lecture notes. I think this module is like 4 pages. And what that is that's just a written summary of the lecture that you hear from me in the video. And I always post the lecture notes. Lots of times students we'll talk about how they kind of like to have that hard copy of the lecture notes as they're taking the quiz, or as maybe for a notebook, or if you want to print them out, that's fine. Sometimes students do that. And so the lecture notes are also, every module will have my lecture notes in addition to the video lectures that kind of contain the PowerPoint slides. And then there's always a homework assignment. I think this first homework assignment has 11 questions. 10 of the questions come out of the lecture notes and the video, and then there's just 1 question this time around out of the textbook, which we'll talk about the textbook here in just a second. So there's a homework assignment that you want to read through the notes, listen and watch the videos, and look at the PowerPoint slides, answer the questions, go to the textbook, answer the textbook questions, type that up and submit that to the Dropbox. And again, that's due at the end of the second week of the module, so you got plenty of time to work on that. And then towards the end of the second week, there's always a quiz. So there'll be a module 1 quiz, 2, 3, 4, all the way through 6. The modules open on Thursdays at noon. You have all the way until the end of the day on Monday at midnight, end of the day Monday, to do each of the module quizzes. I always post a study outline for you. You can see the study outline for quiz 1 is already posted for you. The quizzes are open note, open book as far as I'm concerned. About 20 questions or so, multiple choice, fill in the blank, and short answer questions for you to do at the end of each module. So you have 6 homework assignments because we have 6 modules, and you have 6 quizzes because we have 6 modules. And that's kind of what you do. That's really the bulk of our class are those modules, those 6 different modules. And as we go through, what we're really going to do is we're going to talk about 3 very, very important foundational family counseling approaches: family systems theory, multi-generational family counseling theory, and what's called structural family counseling theory. So 3 core foundational theories. That's half of the modules, 3 of the 6. And then the other 3, this week, a little bit of little foundational introduction work. And at the end of the class, we're going to talk about some special populations, 2 modules where we talk about unique, special family presentations or populations. And that's basically the class. That's kind of what we do in this Family Intervention Strategies class. Speaking of the modules and the homework, I also wanted to show you the textbook for our class. I'll give you some information in the class about our textbook. So our textbook is called Introduction to Family Counseling. As I just said a minute ago, you will need the textbook for the class because with all 6 of those homework assignments, I give you questions out of the textbook, this purple, I call the purple book, the purple Introduction to Family Counseling textbook. That's our textbook for the class. If you don't already have a copy, go ahead and begin and securing a copy because you're going to need the textbook for all of the homework. All 6 of the homework assignments are going to have a few questions out of the book where I direct you to certain chapters, let you go and read and kind of dig and find some answers to some of the questions, the important questions out of the textbook. So you'll need the textbook. Go ahead and grab a copy if you don't already have it. And you'll need those as we go through and do the module homework assignments. I've already gotten a couple of questions about the textbook, so I want to make sure we covered that. Also, along the way, 2 other written assignments, actually 3 other written assignments. In module number 3, if you look in the syllabus, you'll see that you're going to do what's called a genogram assignment. One of the things we're going to talk about in module 3, when we talk about multi-generational family counseling, is this thing called a genogram, an assessment tool that is central to family counseling. And counselors use genograms all the time in their work, especially if they do family counseling. So we're going to talk about genograms in module number 3. And you're going to do sort of an extra homework assignment in module 3 called the Genogram Assignment. Also, too, right around midterm, you're going to turn in a movie review assignment. I will post the outline for that assignment in the Dropbox here in a couple of weeks, and you can get kind of working on that. That'll be due around March, somewhere early March. And then at the end of the semester, we take the last 2 or 3 weeks. I always in this class give the last 2 or 3 weeks to let you work on a paper. And it's called the Family Reflection Assignment. And I'm going to talk about that for just a little bit. There's really 2 main purposes in the Family Intervention Strategies class. There's 2 main things that I'm supposed to do as an instructor in leading us in this class. Number 1, we are supposed to, as a class, discuss some central, basic, foundational helping approaches related to families, what we call counseling theories. So as I said a minute ago, half of our class, 3 of the 6 modules, we're going to do that directly. Okay, so that's one of the main things we're supposed to do, is talk about how do we approach working with families when it comes to social services, as case managers, as advocates, as counselors, as social workers. How do we approach working with families to support them, to encourage them, to help them to address whatever issues are going on in their families or in their lives, whatever it may be. So that's one of the main purposes of this class, is to cover and talk a little bit about family intervention or family counseling. So that's the first purpose. The second main purpose, which is natural in a class like this, it is to raise your awareness of your connection to your family and how your experience in your family, past and present, family of origin. We'll talk about this a little bit later. Module 1, family of origin, the family you were born into and raised by, and your current present family, the family that you live in now. How does your experience in those family systems impact and influence, and how have they shaped you in positive ways and maybe even sometimes in not so positive ways? That's another purpose of this class, is to raise your awareness and get you thinking about, if you've never done that, how has my own family experience influenced and shaped me? And that's part of why at the end of the semester, I always give 2 or 3 empty weeks for you to work on a reflection paper around your own experience in your own family, called the Family Reflection Assignment. So I will post that assignment later in the semester after we come back from spring break. It's a very basic written assignment with a genogram. And we'll talk more about that as we get a little bit closer. So just but have a heads up that that's part of how we're going to end the class. I always end this class whenever I teach it with having students do the family reflection assignment. So I want to talk about that for just a second, and then I'm going to let you go and turn you loose on module number 1. So one of the things I always share in several of my classes is, my hunch is many of you, if you're taking a class like this, you're interested in people. and you're interested maybe in working with people. Maybe you want to work one day as a counselor or a social worker or an advocate or a caseworker. That's kind of what we do in human services. We kind of prepare people to get ready to maybe work in the field as a helping professional. And one of the things that I talk about in a couple of my classes is there are some certain skills and abilities that you and I have to have and to develop if we're going to be effective. This field, the field of social services and counseling, is like any other field. It's not for everybody. Not everybody possesses the skills and the abilities needed to work in this field. Not everybody can do it. It's like any other field because not everybody can do everything, right? So, one of the things that's really important in this field, one of the skills, one of the abilities, if you're going to be effective in a field like social services, is what's called self awareness. You and I have to be, you and I will never be effective if we are unaware or under aware, as I say, not underwear, but under aware. If we are under aware or unaware of our own issues, of our own biases, of our own strengths, of our own resources, or whatever it may be, self awareness is really vital in a field like social services for all kinds of reasons. We talk about that a little bit more in a couple of other classes. So, just the idea of understanding ourselves, who we are, where we are, how we got here, where we're going. Where are the areas in which we excel? What are the areas in which I need to continually work? Where am I weak? Where do I need to grow? What issues do I have, if any, that I need to keep in check as I'm working with my clients and their issues? So important in the field of social services. And sadly, many social service professionals kind of flamed out early in their career. It happens all the time, early in their careers. It happens all the time for a variety of reasons. One of those reasons is people are unaware. They have never taken the time to be thoughtful and intentional about thinking about, well, who am I and why am I in this field and what do I bring to this field and how has my past influenced me? How does my present influence me? All of that. So self-awareness is really important in social services. And that's part of why in this class, we spend a little bit of time thinking. I'm going to lead you in thinking a little bit about, well, how has my upbringing influenced me? How has my family influenced me? And that's not always an easy conversation. I want to be upfront with you. I know some of you may hear that and you may think, that sounds good. Yeah, that's awesome. Other times people hear that and they think about their own family experiences, and for different reasons, people get stressed or they get unhappy or whatever it may be. That's okay though, because again, if you're serious about working in a field like social services, you can't be afraid of our own personal evaluation. I always tell my counseling students, hey, when we work as counselors, part of what we do is we challenge our clients to be honest and to be real and to be courageous and to not run away from things and to deal with things. That's a part of what our role is, especially as counselors and social workers. It's part of our role sometimes. Well, we have to sometimes take that same medicine. And usually the most effective helpers don't ever ask their clients to do something that they're not willing to do or they're not already or already done themselves, right? And so usually the most effective helpers are those that practice what they preach, as we say. So that's another big important purpose of this family intervention class, is to kind of get us thinking, maybe not on a super deep level, but kind of get us thinking a little bit about our family experiences and how we connect to our current family and to the family we grew up in. And so that's part of why at the end of the class we do a family reflection assignment. My hunch is, though, starting in module number 1, especially module number 2, we get into module number 2, especially when we start talking about the different family counseling approaches. My hunch is then that immediately, even without trying, we're going to naturally, because this is natural for us, we're going to naturally begin to reflect on our own family experiences as we start talking, especially, for example, about family systems theories and roles and rules and all those kind of things that are central to working with families and understanding. It's very natural for us to begin to reflect on how those kinds of things also impact us through our own family. So all of that is a part of what we do in this class. My contact information is on the front page of the syllabus. Email me, call me, come by, see me on the Montgomery campus if you need something. I'll be talking to you every single module with these videos and talking to you, posting some video announcements as we kind of go along the way. So welcome to class. I'm going to turn you loose. Module number 1, your homework is waiting for you. The PowerPoint, the lecture notes, the lecture videos are waiting for you. Go and find them and let's get started. Let me know if you need something, and it's good to have you in class. See you next time.